Please welcome Toni Braxton.
She's so freaking mean to me. I was in shock.
Do you take responsibility for the situation that you're in right now?
100%.
100%.
100%.
Toni Braxton didn't just sing her way into history. She bled for it. Every note, every performance, every standing ovation came with a price tag that nobody else was willing to pay. Because behind that 7-time Grammy-winning voice was a woman who wasn't just carrying her own dreams. She was carrying an entire family on her back. For years, people whispered it. The rumors, the side eyes, the something's not right comments. But now, Toni's done keeping quiet. The woman who once kept everyone fed, funded, and famous is finally saying what the cameras never showed. She was the money, the backbone, the emotional anchor holding the Braxton legacy together while everyone else smiled for the spotlight. And after decades of sacrifice, she's finally letting the truth breathe. Because while the world saw a glamorous R&B legend, Toni was fighting silent battles, financially drained, emotionally exhausted, and constantly betrayed by the people who should have had her back the most.
You open to finding love again? Is that something that you would be open to?
I am a hopeless romantic.
Oh.
I love being in love.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get married and walk down that aisle and wear the white dress. I don't care if you're 80, if you want to wear the white dress.
This isn't just another celebrity story. This is survival. And when you hear what Toni's been through, you'll never look at the Braxtons the same again. Before the platinum plaques, before the Vegas residencies, there was just a little girl from Severn, Maryland, with a big voice and bigger responsibilities. Toni was the oldest of 6 kids. Her mother, Evelyn, was a gospel singer. Her father, Michael, worked long hours just to keep food on the table. The Braxtons didn't grow up rich, they grew up resilient. Then, everything changed. When Toni was barely a teenager, her mom suffered a devastating accident that left her hospitalized for months. Overnight, the child became the caretaker. Toni cooked, cleaned, watched over her siblings, and learned fast that being the oldest meant carrying more than your share. She didn't just grow up early, she grew up tired. But even through all that chaos, Toni's voice became her escape.
I went to the doctor. My heart was aching. It was like I had had every test done. I had the echo done. I had the EKG. I had blood work done. And I went to get the angio. Then the doctor was like, no, that's your pre-op. I said, what do you mean my pre-op? No, you having surgery. We got to look inside your heart.
Singing was her peace, her prayer, her way out. What she didn't know back then was that the same voice that freed her would also trap her for decades. Because from the moment she started shining, everyone around her started depending on that light. When the Braxtons first caught attention as a family singing group, it was Toni who stood out. Her tone, her control, her presence, it was different. Producers noticed, labels noticed, and when she got signed solo, it was supposed to be her big break. But that break didn't just change her life, it changed the family dynamic forever. Suddenly, the girl who once shared chores with her siblings became the one signing their checks. The one who took on her parents' bills. The one who made sure everyone stayed comfortable. While the others were living the dream, Toni was living the pressure. And as the fame started rolling in, so did the expectations.
Who's the most playful?
Of all of my sisters,
Yes.
You know, we lost one of our sisters.
Yes, I
we
know.
lost Tracy.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I was a little sad. It was the first holiday without her, but you know what? She's here with us in spirit,
She
so we're
is.
going to be okay. Yeah.
She wasn't just Toni Braxton anymore. She was the Braxton Foundation. But as the money started flowing, so did the greed. And the people closest to her were the ones reaching deepest into her pockets. When the spotlight finally found Toni, she didn't just shine, she blazed. Unbreak My Heart, Breathe Again, You Mean the World to Me. Every song hit harder than the last. The world saw the awards, the gowns, the voice that could make a church cry and a club fall silent. But behind the lights, Toni was running an empire with no help. Her own family became her payroll. Rent? She covered it. Car notes? Hers. Failed business ideas? Toni's pockets again. It started small, helping out with a few bills here and there. But soon her kindness became a cash machine everyone expected to withdraw from. And the deeper her success went, the more her family blurred the line between helping and taking.
Okay, I gotta call you back. I'm about to have Bible study.
Why?
Cause I'm saved. And I read the word. Because it's important to know the word.
Toni didn't name names at first. She never wanted to embarrass her sisters. But fans are detectives. They connected the dots and the pattern was clear. Trina and Towanda were right in the middle of the money drama. According to Toni, they didn't just want emotional support, They wanted salaries. Trina was allegedly sending invoices. Towanda had a made-up executive title with a paycheck attached. And even their mom, Miss Evelyn, leaned heavy on Toni for years, forgetting that she was still one person trying to keep herself afloat too. Meanwhile, Tamar, often labeled the dramatic one, was actually the only sister who showed real loyalty, singing backup for free, showing up, never asking for a dime. Toni said it best. "I could have soared higher if I didn't have to carry so much." That's not a quote you say lightly. That's pain wrapped in truth. She was the talent, the voice, the brand, and the backbone. But while the rest of the world saw the glitz, Toni was privately drowning in responsibility she never asked for. And what makes it worse? Even after selling over 70 million records, she had less than $2,000 to her name. Let that sink in.
I couldn't believe it because I loved her so much. I admired her and looked up to her. And she pretty much reprimanded me.
I read that you were upset about stories that your overspending caused this.
She says to me, "I hear you have Gucci flatware. I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have."
70 million records sold, and not even enough in her account for a month's rent. Something was off, and soon the truth behind her broke millionaire story would shock the whole music industry. Because as heavy as the family drama was, it was the music business that truly broke her. Toni Braxton didn't just get caught in a bad contract, she got caught in a trap designed to break artists like her. Back in the 90s, she was on top of the charts. Platinum albums, sold-out tours, every label executive smiling for the cameras. But behind closed doors, those same suits were cashing checks Toni never even saw. Her record deal paid her 35 cents per album. 35 cents. That's not even enough for a pack of gum. She was selling millions, but barely seeing thousands. And when she finally started asking questions, the label hit her with expenses. Studio time, stylists, makeup artists, wardrobe, travel, even hotel rooms they booked for her. They charged her for it.
Wear the white dress. I can't wait for that.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So you see it happening.
I see it in my future, absolutely.
Do you know the man or not yet?
Well, he could be there. He could be right there beside me. He could be somewhere to the left. I don't know.
See, that's why Toni's Toni right there.
Exactly.
Toni was basically funding her own fame. And when she finally said enough and filed a lawsuit in 1998, everyone thought she was reclaiming her power. But just 8 weeks later, she was forced to declare bankruptcy. Again. And no, it wasn't because she blew her money on designer bags or fancy cars. It was because her entire deal was rigged against her. Every time she made $1, someone else was taking $2. Still, the public didn't know that. All they saw were headlines calling her careless, irresponsible, or another celebrity who spent too much. Then came that interview, the one that changed everything. Toni Braxton sat across from Oprah Winfrey, someone she admired, someone she thought would understand her pain, and instead she got blindsided on national television. Oprah looked her dead in the eye and asked, "If you're so famous, why are you broke?" The question hit like a slap. You could see Toni's confidence drain right there on screen. She came to explain, to tell her truth, but instead she walked away humiliated. And then came the rumor that made it worse. Word was Oprah allegedly tipped off Toni's record label before the interview, warning them she might expose the contract details. If that's true, that's not journalism, that's betrayal. Toni left that interview shattered. She didn't just lose face, she lost faith. The industry she gave her life to, and even her idols had turned their backs on her. That moment wasn't just bad press. It was the moment Toni Braxton learned that fame doesn't protect you, it exposes you. But just when she thought the worst was behind her, life hit harder than ever. Because the next battle wasn't with her label, it was with her own body. Just when Toni thought she'd fought every battle a person could face, her body betrayed her. In 2010, doctors told her she had lupus and microvascular angina, a heart condition that makes even breathing on stage feel like running a marathon.
What's wrong with your heart?
If the heart attack had happened, they caught it just before it happened. If I had a heart attack, I wouldn't have survived. I wouldn't be here right now. But it was something called the Widowmaker. They told me, your sister was watching over you. Because you, by rights, should be dead today.
That diagnosis hit harder than any lawsuit. She was headlining a multi-million-dollar Las Vegas residency, the comeback she dreamed of, and suddenly it was gone, canceled overnight. The insurance company refused to cover the losses. Every dollar spent on stage design, costumes, dancers, musicians, it all came from Toni's pocket. Within months, she was drowning in debt again, and just when it seemed things couldn't possibly get worse, the IRS came knocking. Over $450,000 in unpaid taxes between federal and state agencies. Threats of property seizure, headlines screaming Toni Braxton in trouble again. People joked about it online. But what they didn't see was the woman behind the headline, sick, exhausted, and still sending checks to keep the lights on for family members who never even said thank you. Toni later admitted that out of all her siblings, only Tamar ever helped her care for their mother. "None of my siblings have helped me take care of my mom," she said, except for Tamar. Imagine that. After decades of paying everyone's bills, the one person still showing up was the same sister tabloids called the problem child. Every time Toni tried to rise, something or someone pulled her back down. But when cameras started rolling for Braxton Family Values, the world finally got a peek behind the curtain. And what they saw wasn't just drama. It was decades of resentment ready to explode on national TV. When Braxton Family Values first premiered, it looked like a win. 5 talented sisters, one famous last name, a story of unity and comeback. But the moment the cameras turned on, every hidden crack started to split wide open. Arguments about money, about fame, about who deserved what. Toni and Tamar were reportedly making way more than the others, and the resentment was instant. Filming shut down more than once. Toni even walked off set, saying she was done. And honestly, can you blame her? After fighting lupus, bankruptcy, and betrayal, now she had to battle her own family on television.
So Tracy was probably the most playful. She was the most playful. You know, we had to show Braxton Family Values, so we're all an animated bunch. So we all come together, and that's why holidays is such a big deal for us.
Oh, it's beautiful.
The world saw the smiles and confessionals, but what they didn't see was Toni breaking down off camera, saying the line that stopped every viewer in their tracks: "I don't want to be the strong one anymore." That wasn't a soundbite, that was a cry for help. Every big sister who's ever carried everyone else felt that line in their bones. The world finally understood. The Braxton family wasn't thriving, they were surviving on Toni's strength. But the tension didn't stop with the show. Social media turned their arguments into memes. The sisters unfollowed each other, blocked each other, posted subliminals. What used to be private pain was now public entertainment. And through it all, Toni stayed quiet, until she couldn't anymore. Because beneath all that surface drama was a wound that went much deeper. A wound named Tracy Braxton. Before Braxton Family Values ever existed, Tracy was already the sister left behind. Back in the early 90s, when the group first got their record deal, Tracy was pregnant, and the label made one thing cruelly clear. A pregnant woman didn't fit the image, so they signed the contract without her. That decision haunted the sisters for decades. Tracy tried to smile through it, but fans could always feel her pain. She never stopped loving her family, but she never stopped hurting either. That kind of exclusion doesn't fade, it festers. And when Tracy passed away in 2022, the guilt hit everyone like a tidal wave, especially Toni. Toni described waking up some mornings wondering if it was a dream, only to remember her sister was really gone. "She's been here for 50 years, Toni said softly. "I try to smile and be grateful for the time we had, but behind that gratitude was grief, regret, and the weight of all the things left unsaid." Losing Tracy was more than losing a sister. It was losing the chance to make things right. And as the family tried to move forward, the same old wounds started reopening, this time in public, louder and messier than ever. Because just when it seemed the Braxton story might finally quiet down, the next generation walked onto the stage and reopened a secret the family had buried for years. Just when the world thought the Braxton story had settled, Tamar dropped a twist no one saw coming. For the new season of the Braxtons, she decided to bring someone back into the spotlight, a face the family had tried to forget. Her niece, Ashley Braxton. To casual fans, that name might not mean much, but to anyone who's been following this family for years, it was like lighting a match inside a room full of fireworks. Because Ashley isn't just any niece. She's the girl Tracy Braxton saw as her own child, the same sister who spent her life trying to heal after being left out of the group. And Ashley once dropped a bomb that nearly tore the family apart. Years ago, when she was just 16, Ashley claimed that Trina's then-husband Gabe had been sending her inappropriate messages. A grown man crossing serious boundaries with a teenage girl. Ashley did what she was supposed to do. She told her parents. They went straight to Trina, expecting protection and outrage. At first, Trina comforted her. She apologized. She made it seem like she believed her. But then the energy changed. Support turned into silence. Silence turned into distance, and soon Ashley was the one being whispered about, as if she'd done something wrong. Rumors say Trina eventually stopped speaking to her altogether. Ashley was shut out, isolated for telling the truth. Now imagine being that same girl. Years later, stepping onto a reality TV set with all those same relatives. Cameras rolling, mics hot, and the past waiting to explode. Tamar says she brought Ashley in for the right reasons, to give her niece a voice. to show that someone in the family still had her back. She called it a healing move. But healing isn't easy when the wounds are still open. As soon as news broke that Ashley had joined the cast, insiders said filming went off the rails. Sisters shouting, production pausing, everyone accusing Tamar of stirring the pot for views. And maybe both things are true. Maybe she really wanted healing. Maybe she also knew that the truth, especially this truth, would break the internet. Because this isn't just another round of Braxton drama. This is the one secret they never wanted in front of the cameras. For Toni, it's another heartbreak. She spent her whole life trying to hold this family together, and now it's splintering again, this time around her niece, the daughter of the sister she still mourns. Every confession, every tense dinner scene, every look that says you betrayed me, it's pulling the Braxton name into a storm that even Toni might not survive emotionally, and fans are divided. Some say Tamar is brave for finally forcing honesty. Others think she's reopening scars for ratings. But one thing's certain, when Ashley Braxton speaks on camera, the world's going to listen. Because for the first time, the truth isn't coming from a headline, it's coming from the one person who lived through it. And that brings us to the question no one wants to ask, but everyone's thinking. After decades of fame, fortune, loss, and love, what has it all really cost Toni Braxton? Toni has spent more than 30 years being the voice of strength. On stage, she's timeless, still performing, still elegant, still giving every ounce of herself to the music. But behind that voice is a woman who's simply tired. Tired of carrying, tired of fixing, tired of pretending the weight doesn't hurt. She once said, "I don't want to be the strong one anymore." And that single line told the truth of her entire story. Because strength without rest isn't power, it's pain disguised as perseverance. For decades, Toni funded everyone else's dreams while her own nearly disappeared. She kept her family's lights on while her own world dimmed. She survived label exploitation, public humiliation, health battles, and the kind of family tension that money can't solve. And yet she's still here, still singing, still standing. But you can hear the exhaustion now in her interviews, in her silences, even in the way she chooses peace over publicity. She's learned that sometimes the loudest form of power is quiet. As for the Braxtons, their story isn't over. Maybe Tamar's push for truth will finally bring healing. Maybe it'll just burn what's left to ashes. Either way, Toni's done playing savior. This time, she's choosing herself, her health, her peace, because after a lifetime of being the backbone, she deserves to stand on her own without everyone leaning on her. And maybe that's the real legacy here. Not the Grammys, not the record sales, not even the fame, but the message every strong woman watching needs to hear. You don't have to keep holding everyone up to prove your worth. Toni Braxton carried her family, her career, and her pain for decades. Now it's time the world carried her story with understanding, not judgment. So what do you think? Is this the start of the Braxton family's healing, or just the next storm in a lifetime of them? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the real stories behind the fame. Because if Toni's journey has taught us anything, it's that the truth behind the spotlight is always the part worth hearing.